Welcome back to the Investor Professor Podcast. This is Dr. Ryan Peckham, and this is episode 97. On today's episode, we're going to do a recap of my trip to Omaha, Nebraska last week to hear from the Oracle himself, Warren Buffett, and his esteemed partner, Charlie Munger. And so we'll talk about some of the big things they said, some of the lessons that they talked about before but reiterated, and kind of discuss what their thoughts were on the stock market and just life in general. I think you'll enjoy it, and I'll see you on the other side. So get your mind right, and let's get to work.
You dropped this.
Well, welcome back to the show, everybody. Appreciate you joining me again for this Omaha 2.0 recap. It's called Omaha 2.0 because we went there last year and, we already used that name. So here we are. I apologize for being a week late on this episode. I came up to my office last weekend when I got back from Omaha, and I was going to record this last Sunday, and the AC in my office building was just shut off and broken, and it was 92 degrees in my office. And I thought, I can fight through this. And then 20 minutes in, I was like, no, I can't. I can't do this. So just a little too hot, but we are back this week. Take a look at the markets here. The market for the year, the Dow Jones for the year is actually only up 1%. The S&P 500 is up 7%. The NASDAQ is the leader for the year. It's up 17%. Now, if you remember to last year, this is the exact opposite. Last year, the Dow Jones did the best at minus 8%. And so we kind of have this direct reversal here. And again, some of the leaders in the spaces here are the ones that are leading the way. The markets would look a lot different without the likes of Amazon, Apple, kind of the big horses here, Microsoft. The markets would look a ton different without those. So the market, we went through earnings season, not too difficult, looked okay. Now, unfortunately for us, everything market driven is going to be based on the debt ceiling and politicians, which means there's probably going to be some bumps in the road over the next couple of weeks. And, there's not a whole lot you can do as an investor except maybe take advantage of it, maybe buy some shares of something you love if it goes down, and kind of take advantage of it. So one of the things, of course, that I want to talk about today is my recent trip to Omaha, Nebraska to see Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. And just to give you some perspective here, Warren Buffett turns 93 in August coming up, and Charlie Munger is currently 99 years old, and he turns 100 next January. And so it's pretty interesting to see. This year, there was a lot more people than last year. The main difference was that there was international tourism was kind of back on, so the international fans could come over, and boy, did they ever. It was pretty amazing being in the arena. I'm guessing there was 40,000 people, somewhere around there, and it was just amazing to see. There was even people, they have a screen set up, and there was even people sitting behind the screen and couldn't really, see Warren and Charlie, and they kind of do an initial 30 minutes on kind of what their perspective is on the market. And then they really just get into questions. They have people set up all over the arena to ask questions. And then they also have Becky Quick from CNBC, who takes questions from people who have submitted them ahead of time, and she reads them. And so they kind of go one off, right? Somebody in the arena, somebody online, somebody in the arena, somebody online. And they sit there and they do that for 7 hours. So it's pretty incredible, especially with their ages. They have no idea what questions are coming. And it's really just humbling when you see somebody who's 93 years old and he's telling you how much, freight cost per mile in 1978 and has this kind of recall that just is really humbling. And you're sitting there going, geez, how does he remember this? Especially when he doesn't know what questions are going to come ahead of time. So I thought it would be maybe interesting to just kind of go over what some of my favorite takeaways were from this meeting, some of the things that they discussed, and just kind of what their perspectives were, not only on the market, but just life in general, and some of the ones that stuck out to me. And the first one, which is, you probably saw, was the fact that they, when he's looking at all the different companies that Berkshire Hathaway owns, he's saying that, that the expectations from the managers this year is that that they're not going to make as much money, and that the economy isn't as good. They're starting to see a pullback in a number of areas. That shouldn't be a surprise to us. We're seeing this all over the place. You watch the news and you're listening to things, and everybody's talking about a recession, and then they really confuse you, and they start talking about, well, maybe it's an earnings recession. Maybe the economy's not in a recession, but maybe we're going to have an earnings recession where companies just don't do as well as they did last year. And so, you just have people who slice and dice this stuff all different ways to kind of, put it in the slot that they think it's most appropriate to. And so, they are seeing less spending. They don't expect the companies to do as well as they did last year. I mean, it's not anything that's a big concern to them. They just kind of an observation. It is interesting. I think, just from a standpoint of somebody who's been there, it is so interesting to be at that meeting, be listening to Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, hear the things that they say, and then watch your phone to see what the news outlets pick up and what starts to come across as like, where they try to make it kind of sensationalized, I guess. I know I talked about this on last year's, but it's always just kind of a great reminder to me of like how much some of the news outlets sensationalize or try to sensationalize the headline so that it gets you to click, right? Like clickbait, So one of the things that came up is obviously artificial intelligence, AI, and Warren Buffett compared it to the atomic bomb, and he didn't do it in a negative way. He just said, artificial intelligence is going to be like the atomic bomb. You can't uninvent something. You have to learn how to, handle it. You got to be able to manage it. You got to be able to, do it responsibly. And he was just kind of drawing drawing comparisons in it that way. But when I looked at my phone, it said Warren Buffett compares artificial intelligence to the atomic bomb. Says it's as deadly as the atomic bomb. And it was like that really wasn't kind of the point that he was trying to make. But they kind of look at it from every different angle. So a couple of things that stuck out to me from the meeting is, number one, is that Buffett said opportunities are getting harder to find because so many people are so good at the financial, when it comes to finances, at the number side of things, right? So if you're looking at computers or you're trying to find mispricings of a company versus its earnings, or if you're a finance person, arbitrage opportunities, these are getting harder and harder to find. But the one thing that he reiterated is that most of the opportunities when it comes to investing, which we have discussed numerous times on this show, is when people start doing dumb things with their money, right? They sell good companies because they're scared. They're buying too much because they think that everything's going to go to the sky, right? Like, I mean, it's always the human error piece. And again, that was reiterated that, even though there's not maybe financial opportunities, or those kind of get taken care of right away with just an efficient market, it always comes back to people inherently do dumb things when it comes to investing. And so I see it more with technology, with people just placing trades all the time, right? We've discussed that on numerous shows. People, number one mistake, people trade too often. And so constantly shooting themselves in the foot because of that. And so great to just kind of have that reiterated. The other thing that he discussed a lot, which is what's kind of driving the market right now, is the bank failures that we've had, the regional banks having difficulties. We're seeing that every single week. You expect the market to be up because the economic news is good, whether it was CPI or PPI coming down again this week. But again, the regional bank failures, and maybe the collapse of some other ones coming up still continues to weigh on the market. And so basically Buffett and Munger talking about how every banker just wants to make as much money as possible, and they're really not, thinking about their shareholders. They're not thinking about the long term. They're just thinking about what can we do today to get rich. Munger, quote from him, said bankers should be more like engineers, avoiding trouble instead of just trying to get rich. That was one of the things that they discussed. There's been a lot of talk about Buffett's position in Occidental Petroleum, symbol Oxy, and he's bought a ton of it. And, the thought is, okay, man, he's bought so much. Is he eventually going to take over? He said he wasn't going to take over in this meeting. He said they had great management running it. He didn't need to do anything. He wouldn't do anything different. I don't know if I believe that. This is my personal opinion. This is my personal opinion, but Buffett really can't come out in a meeting like that and say that he's going to buy the entire company, because what's everybody going to do on Monday? They're all going to buy the stock and try to get in ahead of him. So I don't know why he would do that. So one of the other ones that I liked is somebody asked a question about wills and estates and having your estate planning done, having your wills done, which we should probably do an entire episode on this, but just having your life, especially as you get older. I know there's a lot of young listeners here, but as you get older, having your wills drawn up, having these things, having conversations with your children about money, especially if you're worth a lot of money. Buffett talked about just so many personal experiences that he's had where somebody that's worth a lot of money passes away, leaves the money to their kids, but they've never had one conversation about money with those kids. The kids don't even know what they're getting before the person passes away. He talked about how some of the kids had lawyers before the will was even done being read, and just saying, that's your last time that you get to talk to your family is through your wills, through your estate. And so many people just don't take the time to do a good job and prepare that in the proper way. And so it's one of the things I try to do with clients, having them start to invest for their children, start to invest for their grandchildren, start trying to pass down those lessons. It's very important, and you can't start soon enough, but so many people do not do it. One of the hardest hitting ones was them talking about getting toxic people out of your life, which I just thought was phenomenal for two 90-year-olds to tell you that toxic people in your life are just a drain on you, your goals, your intentions. If they're inside your companies, they're a drain on your companies. They're a drain on all the people that work with them. And what are some things that you can do to try to just not let those kind of people take over? And it's just interesting to see, because they're just sitting there going, you got to get them, as fast as you possibly can, not being mean, whatever, but you've got to get people out of your life. And Buffett talked about how just being nice to people, just being kind. A direct quote was, "I've never known anybody that was basically kind that died without friends." And he said, "I've known plenty of people with money that have died without friends." Right? And this notion of kindness, you can tell a lot about somebody by how they treat somebody who can't help them, and just passing on that kindness, which I thought was interesting, because we've all had experience where you work with people that you feel are toxic or they're draining, and all of a sudden they're walking up to you and you just feel your whole body clench up. And you're like, oh my goodness, oh, I can't. Or it's Sunday and you're like, oh my gosh, tomorrow's Monday. I'm going to have to see that person. I'm going to have to see Ryan tomorrow. He's a horrible person. I don't want to do this. And so you got to figure out a way to not deal with those people, even online. I mean, there's people that we all got people online that, you see their post and it's draining to you, and you're not even having a real interaction with them, and it drives you crazy. So you got to hide their posts, right? So hide those people's posts. Think about, just different ways to protect your intellectual sanity by not dealing with people you don't want to deal with. And this is one of the things as a business owner, I always tell myself, I get referrals. If I'm not gelling with somebody, if I don't think that, that we're on the right track, I just don't work with them. And every couple years, I forget this and I add somebody to my client book and I go, oh God, I should know better. I should know better. And this even happened last year. I had somebody for a month. I've had clients for a week before, and I'm like, this isn't working out. And because I know they're going to drain me. And the other thing about it is if I have somebody that's wearing me out, then I can't spend the time I need to spend with the clients that I love and that I'm really trying to do a good job for. I mean, if I'm not at my best, then it takes away from them. And quite frankly, what's the point of owning a business if you're not getting to work with people you like? And that is a huge piece. If you're going to own your own business, at least be able to work with people you enjoy. And I've had many people that go, man, why do you go to Omaha? Is it just, you just want to see, are they really telling you anything you don't know already? And the answer to that is no. Nothing comes out of this meeting, but it's just a great time. There's camaraderie. I get to go with people I love. We had a great time. I've never not had a good meal in Omaha. And it's just a fun weekend to kind of just re-hone in on the things that sometimes in the investment world, you feel like you're kind of an outcast as far as I don't like to trade all the time. I kind of like to go against the grain with a lot of what I feel is kind of other professionals in the way that they manage money. And so when I go here, it feels like I kind of, I'm honing into those lessons that I believe in and that I know that work. And then also it's just a great weekend, some camaraderie with really good people and just getting to spend time with people and kind of just talk about finance and talk about investing and have good meals and have a good time. And then kind of for me, the Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger show is just kind of the kind of seals the deal on it. It's interesting. The day before, they always do kind of the exhibit with all the Berkshire Hathaway companies, and the CEOs of those companies are there, and they're Dairy Queen is selling ice cream for $1. The CEO's passing it out, and you really just can't get that anywhere else. Where you just have all these people coming together. CNBC's there, their anchors are there, and it's just fun to see. And it's a great experience. And like I said earlier, Charlie Munger is going to turn 100 in January. Buffett is going to be 93 years old. And, will they continue this when they pass away? I don't know, but I know one thing, it won't be the same. And so the way I look at it is there's just not that many chances that I'm going to be able to do this. I've been there 3 times. I feel fortunate to have been there 3 times. And so, why not take advantage of it while it lasts, because it's just not going to last forever. So if you've ever thought about going, I definitely think you should check it out. You can watch the stream. If you go on YouTube now, you can watch the question and answers. You can see the things that they discussed. But it's like a lot of things, it's different. It's a different in-person experience, and it's always a good time. So Omaha has never disappointed. And again, it's on a lot of people, a lot of finance people. I shouldn't say it's on a lot of people's bucket lists, it's on a lot of finance people's bucket lists. So you should definitely check it out. So that is my Omaha recap for you. I don't know. It's just when I think about how to describe this, there's parts of it that are difficult. It's one of those things that you just can't, until you experience it. It's really kind of difficult to do. So I hope this helps you. Going over the lessons here again, get toxic people out of your life, save money. The economy's not always going to go up, but you have to keep investing. You have to make sure that you're investing in companies that you believe in and that you're willing to invest in for a long time. And if you do those things, you can have a prosperous life, be kind to people, leave a good legacy. And, leave you with one of the things that Buffett has always said. He said it this time too, but he said it in years past. He said, you should write your obituary and then try to live up to it. And so if you can do those things, it's kind of a recipe for success. So I hope this helps you. Don't mistake activity for achievement, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.